This is one of the most horrendous things that I've ever seen in my career as a forensic pathologist.
Did not feed him very much. They did not, he was in some pretty deplorable conditions in his room.
And this is just a sample of the heartbreaking cases that we have reported on over the course of the last 12 months. Caretakers accused of abusing and neglecting the vulnerable men and women that they are supposed to protect.
It is happening all across Georgia, and now one metro county is fighting back and wanting its residents to know how and where they can find help. Joe Hankey today learned what Rockdale County is doing, and it comes on the heels of a very disturbing abuse case here, Joe.
It does, Cheryl. The Rockdale County Sheriff's Office arrested a 45-year-old woman in March for running an unlicensed personal care home where several women were allegedly being abused. Investigators then found several other unlicensed homes they traced back to that same woman. It's only one case of an often hidden problem.
Rockdale County deputies arrested Tomeka Williams for running an unlicensed care facility inside this Conyers home. 8 emotionally disabled women between the ages of 24 and 80 lived here. Williams' employee, 48-year-old Tony Powell, allegedly used a shock cane on one of the women. It is a taser-like device designed for self-defense. Powell is still wanted for aggravated assault, exploitation of disabled adults, and intimidation. The sheriff's office then uncovered 6 more unlicensed facilities across 4 counties connected to Williams.
One particular house in one of the counties, there was 9 people. Another house, there was 8 people. One house in Newton County, there were 6 people that I witnessed myself. It's very disappointing.
Sheriff's Office investigator Don Moraine says authorities learned of the first home when a woman there recognized signs of abuse, escaped to a nearby home, and called 911. Too often, though, victims do not know when they need help or how to get it, a problem which, as of today, Rockdale County is fighting to end.
We're protecting people, and their safety is our best interest. That's all we want.
Moraine and other county leaders this morning announced a new program called Pearl. It is designed to aid the elderly and other at-risk adults by creating a task force using city, county, and state resources to educate the public, efficiently respond to reported abuse, and then thoroughly investigate.
The whole goal is to make sure that the victims know that there is some relief for them, that they're not simply suffering and no one's noticing.
Probate Judge Clarence Cuthbert Jr. says elder abuse, for example, happens far more often than the public knows, and it is why Pearl is needed. We're
approximately 90,000 residents, and we've had 488 cases investigated between the 2013 and 2017.
Currently, several community forums are being planned to educate people about Pearl and the resources it is now offering to the families of at-risk individuals and also those individuals themselves.
And this new program is targeting abuse ranging from neglect to emotional, financial, sexual, physical, and abandonment abuse. Pearl resources are designed to avoid potentially abusive situations and also assist victims. For more information on how to contact Pearl and the program, click on this story right now on 11alive.com. Cheryl.
And you imagine other counties will watch how this works, hoping it's effective, because there are so many counties dealing with this unfortunately, the same issue.
Absolutely.
Joe Hankey, thank you.